There's a little town off the highway where the hills look like folded blankets and the air smells like pine. People wave from porches. Doors stay unlocked during the day. In places like this, quiet is precious, like the last cookie in a jar. You take care with it, but some nights the quiet breaks. Motorcycles rumble through Main Street like a thunderstorm with chrome. That's when the Iron Fangs arrive. They are loud and they like it when people are afraid. They wear black vests with metal teeth stitched on the back. Their leader, Crowder, loves to lean into a person's space and whisper, "You owe us." He smiles when the person looks down. Our neighbor here is a gentleman named Eli. He runs a little repair shop and cafe all in one, a place with coffee, pie, and a back room where he fixes broken lawnmowers and old pickups. Eli keeps a photo of his late wife near the register. He talks to her when the place is empty. He tells her about the morning light and about the customers who still sit at the table she loved. That morning, the Iron Fangs decided the cafe was under their protection. Eli said no. He said he would rather close his doors than pay for fear. Crowder's smile got thinner. He said they would come back at night, and he promised that Eli would change his mind. By evening, the biker clubhouse thumped with music like a heartbeat with too much caffeine. The air carried the smell of gasoline, sweat, and cheap cologne. Inside, colored lights spun across faces and walls. People shouted over the music and pool balls cracked in sharp, angry sounds. Eli walked in with his hat in both hands. He was brave. He was also scared. He wanted to end this fight before it started. He told Crowder he did not want trouble. He told him that his cafe fed people who could not always pay and that his shop kept farmers going. He said there had to be a way to live without fear. Crowder laughed and tapped Eli's chest with a finger. "Your way costs me money," he said, "and I do not like losing." Eli's hands shook. He still stood straight. He reminded Crowder that the town was full of people who wished the gang would leave. Crowder stepped closer, full of heat, and said the town wished for many things. But wishes are like weak coffee. Good smell, no strength. Crowder snapped his fingers. Two men boxed Eli in. The room shifted. People looked away because looking can become a reason to be the next target. The music seemed to get louder, but Eli's heartbeat was even louder in his own ears. He did not know that help was already on the road. A single motorcycle pulled into the lot outside, low, smooth, and respectful. It purred more than it growled. Keanu Reeves swung a leg over the seat and took off his helmet. You know his face, calm, kind, like a lake in the morning? He walked in with a small nod to the bouncer who was too surprised to stop him. Keanu does not take up space by force. He lifts a room by the way he carries himself. He ordered a black coffee and stood near the edge of the crowd, watching with soft eyes. He saw Eli's hands. He saw Crowder's smile. He saw the two men pressing close, like doors closing on a trapped bird. Keanu did not rush. He waited for the right moment, like a careful doctor waiting for a heartbeat to settle. Then, when one biker reached for Eli's wallet, Keanu spoke, gently. "Let the man keep his dignity." The sentence floated through the noise. It did not ask for a fight. It asked for humanity. Crowder turned. The gang noticed the stranger. Recognition flashed, then the laughter came. "Movie star wants to save a cafe," one biker said. Another added, "Can he read us a bedtime story?" Keanu's mouth curved in the smallest smile. "If it helps you sleep," he said, "I'll read the part about respect." Outside, a bigger engine rolled up. It sounded like a bear clearing its throat. The door opened and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stepped in. He filled the doorway like a sunrise fills a window. The club's colored lights painted his black t-shirt in flashes. He took a breath, looked around, and smiled the kind of smile that says, "We can solve this." He spotted Keanu first and gave him that quick nod brothers give each other in the middle of chaos. Then he saw Eli, and the smile faded into something steady and strong. "Evening?" The Rock said, friendly as a neighbor but firm as a judge. "We're going to talk like grown-ups." Crowder tilted his head. "Two heroes," he said. "Do we get autographs or a lesson?" Maybe both, the rock replied. But the lesson comes first. Good care is often about tone. When we speak softly, the heart can listen. Keanu stepped between Eli and the bikers, not to block a punch, but to block shame. He kept his hands open, palms visible, fingers relaxed. Doctor's hands, a promise of no harm unless harm is needed to stop harm. Eli is your neighbor, Keanu said. You can take his money tonight and you will be hungry tomorrow. Or you can leave him alone and eat well for years, because the town will breathe again, and when people breathe, they build. Some bikers shifted. Not all hearts are hard. Many are just tired. But Crowder had built his power on fear, and fear does not like to be told it is small. He grabbed a bottle, weighed it in his hand, and tapped it against his palm. That is when the rock stepped forward. He did not threaten. He offered a boundary. Listen, he said. No one here is going to the hospital tonight. Not Eli, not you. You can put the bottle down and walk out with your pride. Or you can keep the bottle and lose more than glass. The room held its breath. Then a young biker tried to be a hero in the wrong story. He lunged, not at the rock, but at Keanu, thinking the quieter man would be less trouble. Keanu's body moved like water moves around a stone. He slid sideways, guiding the biker's wrist into a gentle lock, turning his momentum into a harmless stumble. No break, no blood. Just a reminder that grace can be stronger than speed. Keanu helped the young man back to his feet and brushed off his vest like a big brother. No injuries, he said softly. Let's keep it that way. Crowder saw he was losing the room. He hates losing. He swung the bottle toward the rock, fast and crude. The rock's forearm rose, solid, practiced. The glass met muscle, then the floor, where it shattered like an old lie. The rock did not chase. He did not roar. He simply placed a big hand on Crowder's shoulder and squeezed, just enough to put the brakes on a bad decision. Breathe, he told him. You're not a monster. Don't act like one. Two more bikers rushed. One swung wide. The rock pivoted, catching the fist with a calm grip and setting the man down in a rolling seat on a sofa. Another tried to tackle. The rock shifted hips, hooked an arm, and set him on his feet again. But now facing the door, not Eli. It looked like a fight. It felt like a class in self-control. Keanu took care of the edges. When a pool cue lifted, he guided it downward and out of the man's hand with a precise twist, then slid it back onto the table like returning a pencil to a desk. When a biker reached for a chain, Keanu stepped inside the reach, touched the man's sternum with 2 fingers and whispered, "Not today." Oddly, the man listened. Eli stood near the bar, shaking, watching 2 world-famous men respect his life more than his town had in months. Sometimes seeing care in action is stronger than any medicine. His fear started to soften, like ice in sunlight. The floor was littered with bottle glass and bad ideas that never took full shape. The music had quieted. Even the lights seemed to hold still. Crowder stood breathing heavy, eyes bright with anger and old hurt. The rock loosened his hand from Crowder's shoulder and stepped back, giving the man space to make a better choice. Keanu spoke to the room, not just to the gang. "Power is not a right," he said. "Power is a loan from the people around you. If you use it to scare, the loan gets called in. If you use it to help, the loan becomes trust." He moved closer to Eli. "This man serves coffee and keeps engines running. He helps families get to work and kids get to school. He is not a target. He is a pillar. When you break a pillar, the roof falls on everyone, including you." The rock nodded, then added in that warm, iron tone of his. "Here's the simple truth. Bullying is lazy work. Protecting is hard work. But protection makes you a leader. And I promise you, real leadership feels better than any fear you can sell." A few bikers looked at their boots. One older man wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. Crowder stared at Keanu, then at the rock, as if trying to measure how many choices he had left that did not end with him on the floor. "Last chance," the rock said. "Walk Eli out. Tell your crew that his cafe is off limits forever. Then go home tonight knowing you did at least one good thing." Crowder's jaw worked. Old habits pushed against new possibilities. He looked around the room and saw what Keanu had seen. The tiredness, the shame, the wish to be more than the worst story told about them. He spat on the floor, then nodded. "Get out," he told Eli, voice rough. "And don't come back here." Keanu's eyes were kind. "We won't," he said. "And you won't go back to his cafe either, agreed?" Crowder's chin dipped once. They stepped outside into a night finally ready to breathe again. Crickets sang. The wind decided to be gentle. The parking lot, moments ago a drumline of engines, felt like a quiet waiting room where healing had a chance. Eli leaned on the rail, hands still shaking. The rock stood beside him like a wall you could hug. Keanu handed Eli a bottle of water and said, "Small sips." It was a doctor's instruction, simple and steady. Eli obeyed. The water helped. So did the company. "Why did you help me?" Eli asked, voice wavering. The rock's answer was easy. "Because you're worth helping," Keanu added. "Because the town needed permission to be brave again." Sometimes courage is contagious, but it needs a spark. They walked Eli back to his cafe to make sure the doors were locked and the lights were off. Inside, the photo of Eli's wife caught a sliver of moonlight. Keanu noticed. He gave a tiny bow to the picture, a quiet hello to a woman who had once chosen this town and this man. Eli brewed 3 fresh cups. He insisted. "I can't pay you," he said, "but I can thank you." The rock raised his cup and said, "Then let's toast to tomorrow morning." Keanu smiled at that. "To tomorrow morning," he echoed. "May it be kinder." Word travels in small towns like wind through grass. By sunrise, folks knew something had changed. No one knew all the details. They did not need to. They knew Eli had stood up. They knew a gang had stepped back. They knew 2 men, famous to the world, yes, but kind to a single neighbor, had given them a picture of courage that fit in a kitchen frame. People started dropping by the cafe with pies and envelopes and warm hands. Someone fixed the front step that had been loose for months. Someone else painted the door a happier red. A teacher brought a stack of thank you cards colored by second graders. The mayor, who had been too careful for too long, apologized to Eli and promised more patrols and real protection. And the Iron Fangs? They rode quieter for a while. Then some of them stopped riding with the gang at all. A few came by the cafe, hats in hands, and asked if they could pay for what they had broken. Eli looked at their faces and saw fear trying to become something better. He said yes. He set a broom in one man's hands and a paintbrush in another's. Keanu would have approved. The Rock would have smiled. That evening, Eli closed early and stood on the sidewalk, watching the sun fold itself into the hills. He thought of those big shoulders and that calm voice. He thought of how strength can be soft without being weak, and how kindness can be firm without being cruel. He spoke to the photo in the window. "You would have liked them," he said. "They remind me of you, strong and gentle all at once." A black motorcycle rolled by, slow and respectful. Keanu raised 2 fingers in a quiet salute as he passed. A truck followed, its driver big as a barn door. The Rock honked once, a low friendly note, and waved that famous wave that makes crowds feel seen. They did not stop. They did not need to. The town was standing now. Eli locked up and turned toward home. The streetlights came on, one by one, like promises being kept. Somewhere a child laughed. Somewhere, a radio played an old song about better days. And in the soft, safe dark, the lesson settled in. Power is not the loudest voice. It is the steady hand that keeps harm from spreading. It is the choice to protect when it would be easier to pass by. It is the courage to say, "Not today," and the grace to add, "Let's do better tomorrow." Before we end, let me speak to you not as a storyteller now, but like a trusted doctor would with care for your heart. If you ever find yourself standing where Eli stood, afraid but right, remember 3 simple things. First, breathe. Fear makes the world feel small. Air makes it bigger again. When you breathe, your body remembers you are alive and worth protecting. Second, look for helpers. They are not always celebrities. Sometimes they are neighbors. Sometimes they are the quiet person at the back of the room. Courage multiplies when we stand together. Third, hold to your dignity. You do not have to throw the first punch to be strong. You can be firm, you can set boundaries, and you can ask for help. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. The Rock and Keanu did something loud enough to change a night. But the quiet parts mattered more. Gentle hands, honest words, and a promise that no one would be hurt if everyone chose the better path. It was a brutal lesson only because it cut through lies. It was kind because it left people standing. So if the road ever growls outside your window and someone tries to make fear your landlord, remember this town, this cafe, this night. Remember the mountain that smiled and the lake that spoke softly. Remember that strength and kindness are not enemies. Together, they are the safest home we can build. And then, like Eli, unlock your door the next morning. Put on the coffee. Greet the day. Keep the light on because somewhere out there, someone is looking for a sign that it is safe to be good. Tonight, you learned how to use that sign.